I think I'll just kick us off so we can really maximize our time with this wonderful panel today. So I'm Anna Magnuson. I'm the manager of the Network and Institute at the James Beard Foundation. On behalf of JBF, I'd just like to say thank you for coming, and also just to thank the Queer Food Foundation for our continued partnership and relationship we've had over the years. And I'm just going to pass it to Vanessa Parrish, who is the executive director and co-founder of the Queer Food Foundation. And she will get us kicked off here. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on our panel. Today, we are doing Queer Food Leaders, which is one of my favorite topics that we do here at Queer Food Foundation. So yes, please, we're going to be saving time for about 15 minutes of Q&A at the end of our conversation. So please leave any comments in the chat. We'll make sure that we get a chance to get to as many as we can. But thank you again for all of our lovely panelists that are coming in. I'm going to do a couple of intros and then we'll kind of jump right into it. So we have Jose, a culinary creative from the heart of the chicken. Oh my God. Is is the mind behind the menu at Quixote, a modern mezclaria nestled within the iconic Lafayette Hotel and Club, which reopened in July 2023 following a remarkable renovation at San Diego's leading hospitality group. Born and raised in the vibrant culinary tapestry of Puebla, Jose's culinary journey began under the loving tutelage of his grandmother, a restaurateur with over 3 decades of culinary experience. Fueling his passion, Jose pursued formal culinary education in Puebla, graduating with honors in 2009. 2022, Jose's culinary journey led him to San Diego, where he made his mark with the Tao Group. And after, he is now the executive chef at Quixote in San Diego. So thank you so much, Jose, for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really excited about this talk.
Same. We got some power players. Really excited. Next we have Kayla, JBF award-winning food and travel journalist, cookbook author, and senior editor at Eater. Her work has been featured everywhere. I'm just gonna say that. Eater, New York Times, Washington Post, Travel and Leisure, Food and Wine. Kayla served as a Fulbright scholar in Indonesia. Served at UC Berkeley. Her piece won a 2023 James Beard Award and was anthologized in the edition of Best American Food Writing. She's also the co-author of the James Beard nominated book Gulagichi Home Cooking, one of my favorite books. And here she is today, actually traveling as the globetrotter she is. So she'll be popping in. You will hear her voice, but she'll pop in on camera in a little bit because she literally got off a plane and has still made it in time to join us. So thank you so much, Kayla.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa. It is such a pleasure. Yes, I was supposed to be seated, but in the world of travel, dealt with a delayed flight. So I'm so excited to be here calling you guys from, as you can probably hear, from the streets of Lisbon. But I will be muted throughout until I get to my seat. Lovely to be here, though, with you guys.
I don't know if many people know what the streets of Lisbon sounds like in the background, but I love that for you. And then last but not least, we have Chef D. Anderson identifies as an Afro-Latina queer woman from the South Bronx. Started out at Gage and Tollner, and Dee has quickly risen to chef stardom as the newly appointed amazing executive chef at Tatiana in New York City within the Lincoln Center. So thank y'all so much. Thank you, Dee, for being here as well.
Thank you for having me. Yes. I'm excited to be here.
Dee, I see you got your Tatiana hat on. So are you locked in today in the kitchen?
I had to I'm in this corner office that nobody knows about because I'm like, this is the only way I can get away without someone trying to pull me into doing something. Yeah, so it's busy, busy, busy here always. But again, thank you for inviting me and always pushing me to come and make it just make the time and make it happen. But yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I was gonna, that was one of my first questions. I wanted to see where everyone was enjoying in the world. So it sounds like you're in your home and hearth in the kitchen. What else do you see around you besides an empty office?
It's mostly an office. I am in office. This is what only place I can get away from. I was originally going to be in the dining room, but that just gives a lot of the cooks and the front of house staff access to me and trying to get in conversation. I can actively be in a meeting and they will still try to have a conversation with me. So this is the most secluded area I can find.
This is very, very of a leader type of thing that I can resonate with. Jose, where in the world are we finding today? What's catching your eye?
I mean, right now I'm at home. Today it's one of those day offs. This week has been like super busy, but like at the hotel, at the restaurant, I mean, I'm very thankful that I have all this craziness around me. The hotel is very beautiful, so I can like sometimes just escape a little bit. The hotel has from I mean, you go from one room to another one, and it's like completely different. Quixote is this. It's built with an old church from Mexico that we brought from over there. So like every room it's different, and I mean I'm thankful for that because at least I don't stay in just one environment. I can change like if I get tired or something, so I can go and like get inspired to another room. But yeah, that's what it's catching my eye right now. Like there's a lot going on into the hotel. We just got a Michelin key for the in the new this year, so it's been just crazy and like it's just fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Kayla, well, you're the one in the car on the culinary adventure. So I wanna I can't wait to hear what you're seeing and experiencing, jumping right off the plane and straight into a new culinary journey of yours.
It's interesting because I think it actually, and I'm sorry guys, you might be hearing an ambulance, but I think, it's a really good example of what I actually do on a day-to-day basis. I'm here in Europe doing research, and I just came in from Spain, and something that I do on these trips, and both of these places are new to me. And most immediately, I'm looking around. So I'm seeing really incredible buildings. Interesting enough, I've been to Brazil, and was in Bahia, which is the largest percentage of African folks in Brazil. And of course, Brazil was colonized by Portugal. And something that I'm immediately noticing is just those similarities. This is my first time in the country. So you're seeing it, you can see it, you can sense it, you can feel it. And that's something that I absolutely sort of take in even before I have a meal. I'm really digging into, looking at building architecture, looking at the kind of shops that are lined on the streets, even looking at how streets are structured. If they're small, if they're tiny spaces, if public transportation is sort of functioning and how. And so those are the types of things that I'm paying attention to when I first get into the plate to a city. And then, of course, as soon as I get settled is when I dive into the meals. And I absolutely, to the person in the chat who spoke, I absolutely have some restaurants bookmarked, and some places that I'm visiting specifically for some work research that I'm doing here, which I'm very excited about.
And I follow you on Instagram, so I'm really excited for my Instagram feed to be flooded with all of your travels and adventures. So that'll be something really, really cool to see. I always learn something different. I
My
see some,
phone is filled with photos, so you're going to get a lot of a lot of interesting content very soon.
I cannot wait. Um, So I want to get into a few questions. I don't have anything. Um, I didn't want to ask the typical leadership questions in a way because I feel like people ask over and over again, like, what does it mean to be a leader? And da, 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 da. I feel like once you're in it and you've done it for so long, it's kind of self-explanatory. So I want to dive in more as y'all as individuals that happen to be in leadership roles, and that have gotten into leadership spaces. So the first question I want to ask, and this is open forum. Did you have anyone in your life that gave you inspiration to emulate as a leader?
For me, it would be my mother and my godmother. Uh, they were both single mothers and decided that the best way to be able to, navigate life and like running a home was to come together and raise their children together. So quickly at a young age, I was being raised in an unconventional home, like not a typical home that everyone is used to, that wasn't approved by a lot of family members and friends. But in doing so, and them, having the courage to do that, they were able to be the first of the family to own a home, to put us all through private school. And that was a decision that they made. And I feel like that showed a form of leadership and uh, being able to show that, community and working together can be a different form of bringing a family.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, it was my grandmother. I grew up in this it was a matriarchy where the women used to take care of everything, and like they just guided us and feed us and everything. So my grandmother, she was in the industry for about 30 years. She owned her own restaurants, and like she was like running around like building these restaurants and her career and everything. And then when she retired, she came to live with my parents, with my mother and my father. She took care of me, and when I was like really young, that's how I learned to cook. When I was like 4 years old, I was helping her to make like whatever she was gonna feed us, or she used to make like the family meals for my father's company. So that's how I grew up in the industry, and she was like always like running around like littering, and that I think that's where everything is coming from.
I can also add, I certainly have been very lucky to have a lot of powerful women in my life. One of whom I believe is on this call, my sister, who I've watched just lead in different ways as a Black woman in different spaces, and just as someone who's carrying in a lot of different talents and experiences into different roles. I'll also add, and who I will say who has been especially supportive of my queer journey and in my family. And I will also add that for me, one of the individuals that definitely stuck out was one of my first bosses. I was an intern doing some work with an organization called Meals on Wheels. And I worked for the first gay man that I knew. He was or I should say knowingly gay married man that I knew. I was a teenager and I was raised in Houston, Texas. Houston is very diverse. It's a very welcoming city. It is still Texas. And at that particular time, it was not common to have an openly queer man in the space. And so I remember even at that time, actually it was not out yet, but I very much really appreciated his influence and watching him live his life, live as a father. And live as a director in a space of service and a space of doing good in the Houston community.
It sounds like there's just so many like women of influence and power and leadership and from family that have really catapulted all of you, which I absolutely love. And it makes me think of one of my questions about us here and intersectionality, and all of us here are a part of many different intersections that we represent. And to me, especially, I would say now more than ever, but I feel like it's just always been that way. Like the intersections we represent in queer spaces and brown spaces, women led and operated. We are representing a radicalism, like you mentioned, Kayla, that is not typically, even though it is seen, is not often heard of. It is not a typical experience in our industry. So I'm interested with knowing that you grew from radical people and that you yourselves are still thriving and glowing in that radicalism. How does that influence your workspace or just your personal lives?
I mean, we've had this conversation a few times of like working here in Tatiana, and being in a kitchen where everyone is predominantly Black and brown. Um, uh, it is like a completely different kitchen. When anyone comes to visit or steps into the kitchen, they can see it, they can feel it, the music that's being played in the kitchen, the conversations that are being had in the kitchen are one that is like very familiar to a lot of people when they come into the kitchen, which is why anybody who usually comes in for like a stage or a trail, they come in and they immediately want to work there because for the first time in a lot of people's, I mean, there's a lot of young chefs. So the first time they get to see themselves in a kitchen, and not only themselves as people that are working like my line cooks, but also like the person who's managing them, which then fosters a beautiful community of like inclusion. People get to unapologetically be themselves, wear their hair the way they like it, and it's not something that is being questioned or looked at differently or commented about on the side. They get to see someone that's in leadership. A lot of the women here who lead the Tatiana leadership team are a lot of women, and which influences a lot of the young female chefs that I have here in the kitchen too, which right now I have 3 queer female chefs that work on my line. So, and that's just been growing since I got here. It was only just me. And so, yeah, that's good.
That itself is radical. I just want to take a moment, just like that itself is a really powerful testament to just what progress looks like when you have people in place that want to give others opportunity. But I'll let someone else answer too.
I mean, for me, I think my radicalism has been affecting my environment, my workplace. I think right now in the company that I work for, we have more than 20 different venues contemplating the Lafayette Hotel. So Quixote is just one of them. And I think Quixote right now is the queerest restaurant in the whole company. All my leadership, my general manager, me, my 2 sous chefs, all of us are queer. And I mean, the way we manage the restaurant and we have this whole diversity, I mean, it's like just crazy and people want to work with us. Like people from other venues comes and they tell me that they want to work with us because they see like how we have this interaction with people and everything. So even, I mean, our base is we have a lot of Latinos working in the kitchen, a lot of Mexicans. This is a Mexican restaurant, and I try to bring all these people to like just make authentic food and that kind of stuff. And like the music, everything is like very authentic. And how people is changing, because I have old people like or cooks that are older, like they've been in the industry for 40, 50 years, and sometimes like working with a gay chef is like, I mean, they have their machismo and their and all this stuff, and like seeing how people change the way they work and how they start to respect you, because before for them, like, I mean, being queer is like maybe a joke or something, and then they start to work with you and they change the perception of how you manage the thing, or just being a queer leader. I mean, they start to respect you and respect the community. So that, I think that for me it's a big impact in the lives of others and how people start to respect and appreciate the queer culture.
I think what you said there, Jose, is really important to notate too, of just when folks see that there are places where they can feel safe and they can feel seen and heard, and they have leadership there that are keeping that positive culture, word spreads. It spreads to consumer bases. They want to support those businesses. It spreads to employment bases where they want to work there. They want to be present for you, and you get great talent on top of that. And so, but it, like you said, it starts from the top. It starts from having people in place that want to make sure that you're leading and also encouraging folks to shift their thinking and they get new perspective, and also at the same time it breeds a more positive culture from the moment they walk in the door. So that's something I think is really important to have, that we are showing these skill sets, we're showing these type of um, even I would say it's also like it's an inadvertent that like we just happen to be queer and brown in these spaces. Like it's not like we purpose like I'm gonna be a leader here because I'm queer, because I'm brown. Like it's not even on purpose. It's just a happenstance. It's a positive happenstance that tends to create and breed more positive happenstance. But with these skill sets, and this is again, this is open for anyone. How do you feel you get to use those to claim power in the space? You get to already have it, you have the title, you have the staff, you have the respect, but how do you feel you get to use that power in a way that works for you?
I think you have to keep showing up of what you're doing, what you're capable to do, and like, I mean, mentoring people and showing them like how to do stuff. Like, I think that's why you're there, but that's why you're the leader, and like you have to show them like you're there for them, and like you're there for them to build a community to like teach them new techniques. I mean, in the kitchen, like for me, it's the art and the love I have for food. It's like very important, and if you're not passionate about it, and if you're here just for your check, I mean, I know that you're there for your check, and that's cool, and I'm good with that. But show a little bit of a passion, and then that way it's gonna bring a lot. I mean, I think like love is one of the most important things in the world, if it's not the most important thing in the world. And then show a little bit of love for what you're doing, and then showing that and teaching and coaching people. I think that's how I'm making the change. And showing up for them and showing up my skills, like even like in the kitchen, like I always like showing them like how to do stuff, or like if I see something that it's not the correct way to do it, like I always try to mentoring and not be like use a comment tell you, hey, you're not doing this right, or whatever. I mean, I don't like to yell, I don't like to be about I mean the worst person. I like to mentoring people and teach people. I feel like that's the way you grow, and you sharing your expertise. I think you put a little bit of yourself in others, and that's the way you grow.
Yeah, I love that, Jose, and I think love and passion are two words that are absolutely so essential. I think in this work and in our lives as queer people, I think it's how I think it's how we move about. I know that for me, this work is absolutely passion driven and passion based. As glorious as it is also a tremendous amount of work and a tremendous amount of time. That I give to do these projects. It's not going in and, going to a few places and coming up with a listicle, which are important, absolutely. But oftentimes it's, working with a translator to interview someone who is 60 years old and is learning a new language and writing a cookbook. It's going into small towns. It's doing 5-hour drives after a very long flight to get to different remote places. And for me, that's actually how I use my power. I think everything you said, Vanessa, about sort of just existing and being a Black queer person. I'm in Europe, so I am sticking out, and I am noticeable by people, and it is something that I carry with pride because I have conversations with folks, and I'm here because my ancestors worked very hard for me to be able to have these opportunities. So I think in terms of my work and in terms of how I show up at my job, I'm looking for ways to push forward, to be more creative, to think outside the box, to do stories that maybe other people might not consider, to go into communities and into places where other people are not considering things. I had a conversation with a journalist a few weeks ago. That was also in Europe. My first story for the New York Times was actually about a fish shack in Harlem. And that story is so special to me. And even through my conversations with my editor, I don't know, I'm sure maybe down the road someone may have covered this, but it took me living in Harlem, and it took me deciding that a small Black owned, family owned place with people from North Carolina in their 60s deserve to be in the New York Times. And that's what we have the power to do. We have the power to say and determine who gets a voice, who gets to be in these papers of record, who gets to be documented. And so when I'm deciding how to spend my time, when I'm deciding where to fly and where to go to, I'm thinking about our communities first. I'm thinking about our people first, about Black folks, about brown folks, about queer folks, about the underrepresented folks who deserve to have their stories told. And that's the way I'm sort of thinking about power these days.
I got chills. D, I'm going to tap into you. I feel like to back off of Kayla, I feel like when I first met Dee, that was one of the big reasons why we met was because um I was writing an article for Resi, and they asked me to do a piece on a queer leader that hadn't necessarily been celebrated yet. And Dee was the first person I thought of. Didn't even know each other yet. I knew Dee, Dee did not know me. And I spent what better part of like 3 months just trying to get Dee's phone number and email because I was like, someone needs to know who this person is, and I'm gonna be the person to tell people that she exists. And we've been cherished friends ever since. I'm grateful for. But it's something like that to me when you get an opportunity, even if just who do you know or who can we celebrate, who can we talk about? It's up to us to find those people and to give them just a nod, just a hello. I see you. I'm cheering you on. I'm celebrating you because we don't know how often that happens for folks. I know Rebecca didn't have that often for me enough. Like there's lists and lists of things that you go through when you're moving up for yourself and when you're moving up in your work. And even seeing Dee now with a fantastic new physician that I've been screaming off my lungs for the last like week for. It's just those things that you get to celebrate each other at the same time, right? Like now you've grown another friendship and you've grown another place to patron and to celebrate, and then you also get to celebrate their wins with them too. And that then bridges a lot of those gaps that we have in our community when we say we can't find each other, when we say there's not enough of us around. I firmly believe there is enough of us around. We just don't know where each other are. And we're trying to find each other and trying to celebrate each other and bring each other together. And I think that's a part of the job of a leader is to find those folks and to find those places and to bridge those things together. Um, how do y'all feel about when you are combining creativity and organization? Because they're kind of polar opposites in my head. You're taking these creative ideas, but then you're also taking these organizational systems. How do you feel like you control that flow? Now we're growing people, we're growing our businesses, we're telling stories. There's just so many different layers that are required with that. But has anyone been able to find the secret recipe to figure that out for their day to day?
For me, because like I said, a lot of I'm working with a lot of young cooks. So at any given moment, I have like 3 or 4 of them working on a recipe. And so it's like teaching them the way of how we come up with the recipes here at Tatiana, like what it is, like from the moment the idea comes up. And it's like always remembering that at least for everything that we put up here in Tatiana is like the dish needing to have a story behind it. So as they come up to me and they're like, "Hey chef, there's a dish that I want to create." I'm like, "Why? What does this dish mean to you?" And then from there, we then comes the organization of it actually coming out and them seeing that dish come to fruition. Um, but it's getting them excited to create something, showing that they do have creativity, like they can be creative. They're not just coming in, clocking in, and just doing the job. And I think that's the way that I can get to have fun and run such a busy place and a busy business, because it's like it also allows me to be able to have some fun aside from all the paperwork and anything that has to be done as a manager in a kitchen. Um, but yeah, it's just having that fun and yeah. So
I think for me, it's learning the business, like what's the flow, what's your market and that kind of stuff. I mean, Quixote's been open for about 2.5 years already, and now I know what people want, what is flow, what do I need to get covered to um, get fulfill the necessities of people who comes to the restaurant every day. So that way I know the systems now, and I mean I'm a person who calls himself itself an artist. So I think that part for me it's very important, and I mean the whole menu it's been created by myself and it's an expression of myself and that's what I want to represent and give to people. And when it's about to create new recipes and that kind of stuff, it's like for me it's important to ask me what's inspiring the new dish or what's inspiring the new stuff and what's what I want to represent with that new dish. So I work it out. I work with my team about the recipes and what we're doing, and then after we have a process of like R&D and trials and tests and everything. I mean, I go and then I develop the recipe and we do the stuff. But for me, like very important, I've been trying to balance the business with the artistic part, and I think like as a business, that's something that is really important. But because sometimes I can be like just crazy and go like to the artistic part, like just crazy and like sometimes I know that that's not gonna work out for the business. So now I have to know how to balance that. But I think it's knowing yourself and owning your own. I mean, owning your presence and owning yourself and owning your position. So sometimes you have to stop yourself to do crazy stuff. But like, I mean, sometimes crazy stuff is good, but like, yeah, you have to know how to balance that.
I think that that's absolutely right. It's something I'm still navigating and very much figuring out. I think you guys have gotten a grasp on it in a much better way. I think with Eater, which is where I'm working as a senior editor, we are working with a lot of different moving pieces, a lot of different targets and goals. And so it's really sort of figuring out how to streamline and how to get folks on the same page. But again, looking for ways to incorporate queer writers is always something that we're all thinking about. And I will say I'm thinking about it, but the entire Eater staff as well, and has been for a long time. We have done queer packages led by Jai Saxenas, who's an outstanding writer and editor. Queer Food by John Birdsall is a book that has gotten a lot of rightful credit. And so just again, finding ways to both amplify and share queer literature and queer writing is essential. Certainly now, the phrase now more than ever is used a lot, but it's certainly true, I think, right now. Allowing queer writers to tell their stories, making sure that we're including all queer voices and particularly trans voices in those stories and in those narratives is essential. And so that's something that I'm thinking about when stories are pitched, when we're trying to decide what to work on, and again, how to talk about queerness and food.
I think that's a balance in its own too, right, Kayla? Is just making sure that there's opportunity and there's balance and equity, but then there's also performative action, right? And so we also try to be conscientious of, am I asking these things, bringing these people on board, et cetera, because of the mission, or am I doing it because it looks good? Like also keeping that intentionality intact too, right? Like that's something that we're responsible for, and that we always have to keep to the forefront of. To your point, John Birdsall, I think we have, from what I counted, there were 15 queer food authors published books this year. There may be more, don't quote me, but I mean, that alone doesn't feel like performance. It feels like opportunity. It feels like folks being able to finally get their due and their piece. But also making sure that I even look sideways sometimes when I see certain brands and things do certain representations, like what is it? I think at least every year during Pride, someone asks like a question about like a rainbow cake, which makes me roll my eyes, because there's the big question too of like what is queer food, and then someone always brings up something rainbow involved. But even having that conversation of when we're bringing people together, when we're balancing our work, when we're balancing our lives and all those things, like where are we putting that intention behind it? Is it going just into our work? Is it going into people? Is it resonating? When you all are putting your things out, where do you feel like it resonates, or what is your intention for folks to feel when your work is out?
I mean, absolutely, Vanessa. I mean, what you said, I think the point about the rainbow, it's interesting. I see that more. I think this year is certainly a testament to it, right? Like, I think you had Target and, every other brand in the world doing their Pride Month rainbow gear. for years until someone threatened them. And then all of a sudden we became disposable, which is what queer people have talked about for a very long time. And I think it's why, again, literature and writing are so important. It's not to say that performance can happen in those spaces as well. Absolutely. There are people more concerned about their name and just being famous than, you know, the actual work. But by and large, I do think that queer literature, both now and historically, has given us a space to tell our stories for so long, right? Like, this is not the first generation to do this, thankfully. We have James Baldwin, we have Audre Lorde, we have these records of excellence and outstanding queer writing that give us some direction and show us just how important it is to have those stories. Giovanni's Room was, I read that in Indonesia when I was living there, closeted, because it is not an open, it's a homophobic society. I was just out, and that book was essential to my journey. And those texts will be.
I think what you said, Kayla, is really sound too, especially with, like you said, with the fleeting nature of support of our cultures, which I think has been really volatile, which is, and I think it has been very volatile in the more recent time. Jose, how do you keep your team engaged and empowered when a lot of these things that are happening in our day-to-day lives are shifting their safety?
I mean, I always try to be very positive. I'm not that kind of person who goes every day and check the news and that kind of stuff. I try to get like a very positive mentality, but still, I don't avoid reality, what's going on in the world. And like, I mean, it's just we talk about it. Obviously, we're right now on Thursday. I'm gonna have my I have my citizenship test, so I'm gonna become an American citizen, and I hope with that to be a voice for people who doesn't have a voice in this country, for people who's suffering. So that's something that I really want to represent, and I want to give to the opportunity to people to talk. That makes me that makes me a little sentimental right now because I think it's something that I passed to. I came as an immigrant to the U.S. and it's just like being a queer, being immigrant, being a Latino, and learning all this stuff. I went through the hard process and how if I went through that hard process. There's a lot of people outside, like it's there and like they're living what I lived before. And for me, that's why this is for me an opportunity to speak up for people who can't speak up. And that's how we talk about it, like right now with all the immigration stuff and all this stuff. I mean, internally between the sous chefs, the people who's there, like we did like protocols. What if somebody comes and ICE comes to the restaurant and that kind of stuff? I mean, we did like internal protocols that to help people, because I mean this is our people, this is our community, and like I think we talk about it. We try to be, like I told you, positive, but still, like it's something that it has to be talk. It has to be like, okay, what's the next step? What are we gonna do? And that's how, I mean, communication. That's the big thing. Communicate between us and communicate with the staff what's going on, and I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you for sharing that. What about you, Dee?
If you know me and we've talked about this again, that in the kitchen, I lead with a lot of empathy and uh, making sure that everyone is being seen and heard. A lot of people say that's a lot hard to do when you're like running a staff of a lot of people, but I think it's something really little and easy that anyone can do. It's just taking the time to, especially if you're mentoring these people, to figure out what it is that works for them and to try to make a space that work doesn't have to be the place where you're also feeling like shit. If I'm sorry for the language, but if you're feeling like shit, work could be that safe space that you come to, especially because we spend so many hours together in a kitchen. This is family, right? We need to care for each other, and we need to look at each other as individuals. As if you're just because you come in and you're having a bad day, you don't know what that other person is going through. So have empathy for that person and how they're feeling that day at work. And maybe you need to pick up pick up the slack that they're not being able to do, or whatever they're not able to accomplish for the day. And if you think in that way, then the kitchen just runs in this way, and it's just a machine that just works every single time, and it never fails because everyone's looking out for one another. So it's a different way. A lot of people are not used to that way. Everyone's always quick to judge and to be angry and to want to reprimand right away. And I'm always that person of just like, wait, let's take it back. This is something different. This is not how this person normally responds or reacts in a day. So it's just being that person to have that empathy in the kitchen and to teach that and pass that on, because that's something that I feel like they can all take to another kitchen. You can go to any other place in any other restaurant and learn how to cook, knife skills, the basics of being in a kitchen. That's the beauty of being in a kitchen, is that you continuously get to learn. But I feel like being taught empathy and how to work with other people can take you so far into so many different places. So that's what I like. That's how I lead the kitchen. And
So I'm hearing awareness, I'm hearing communication, I'm hearing empathy, I'm hearing safety, responsibility, gratitude, patience. I'm hearing all these things from you three about ways that you navigate yourselves in your life space. And I think that's super, super important because, like you said, Jose, you have questions that you cannot answer to your staff members. You have protections that you cannot guarantee to your staff members, but there is still that weight that you hold as a leader that you cannot ignore. It sits on you, like you said, Dee. Like there's an empathy that's a um craft of skill that is required to keep the flow moving in those kitchens. And Kay, like you said, you're telling stories and you're taking the responsibility of putting people's lives and experiences and perspectives on paper and sending them out to the world, albeit, to have people digest, spit out whatever they want to, like, positive and negative. You're putting in a vulnerability as well, right? And so I think this is everything that I'm hearing just from your responses of what it really takes to keep going in your day to day. And I feel like all these words are also just as similar to when we talk about brown lives, Black lives, queer lives, women's lives. These are things that we all have to kind of keep on the forefront of our head every day, not just in our workspace. This is just how we exist. And I think that's why for us, I think no one says it's easier, but I feel like if it's something that's done in your day to day in your life, it's just kind of sits in your bloodline. You don't think about it. For me, like sometimes people ask, like, "Oh, how do you get all this done?" I don't think about it because this is me. I'm emulating myself and being exactly the person that I'm meant to be. This isn't I didn't put something on to to encourage myself to keep going. This is how I was raised. This is how I was brought up. This brings it right back to the top of how you find inspiration by the people that raised you to bring these traits back out for folks to experience. I don't believe many of these things are learned skills. I believe a lot of these things you can reflect from, you can improve, but I feel like empathy, it's really hard to be taught. Communication, you can improve communication, but it's hard to be able to have a listening ear and just not be able to just almost naturally be able to absorb that, right? So I love that genuineness that y'all are expressing, that you bring to your people, and just bring through your words and through your actions. I want to give everyone a moment to sit in the thoughts that the panelists have all said today. There's so much heart that goes into being here, one, on this panel, because um, being out and brown and in charge is not a small feat, being here, just taking time out of your days, and also being available to spread your insight and your perspective within your passion. So I'm really grateful for that as well. We are getting some questions and I'll answer them. I'll sprinkle them through. But I did have a question. I wanted to, I have a question for Kayla, and then I have a question, one more question for each of you as well. But I'll bring it to D first, since you're the first person on my screen. So with your, I'm trying to put this in the right way. So, when you're at home and your day is done, what is the one thing you make sure that you take care of yourself to do?
You've had this question. I honestly, especially recently, have been taking the moment because I can and I have the opportunity to get a home cooked meal from my mother. That is something that seems to be grounding me. Usually would be I'll take myself out to dinner somewhere to eat solo by myself, no one else. That is what any day that I have off, I have 2 days off, I have to allow one day to eat alone or to just dine out and treat myself to something, to eat. But as of recently, it is to bring groceries to my mother's house, and she would cook me a home cooked dinner. And that's been me killing two birds with one stone at some point at first when I first thought about it. But now I've realized how much it helps me with, uh, the ending of my week, of my work week.
My mama never cooks for me, so I'm happy that someone's mom is taking care of them. I don't care if she hears this, because she doesn't.
Yeah, she's retired, so she's bored. So I'm like, I'll give you
Oh,
something to do.
don't you want to make this for me? They're like, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Jose, my question for you is, what brings you joy in life as of recently?
I mean, spend my time with my husband is something that I really enjoyed. Our schedules are crazy, and we only see each other like on Thursday. I mean, we live together, but we have only Tuesdays together. So that's the day when I really enjoy to go out and dine. I mean, I love to eat. I love to go out, and that's when we go out. We go to restaurants and discover new stuff and that kind of stuff. Like just pass my time with him, and my dogs are something that right now this is my biggest enjoyment.
I love that. My dog gets all of my time. He is quite spoiled. Um, everyone that knows me knows Brownie, because he's the celebrity out of the two of us. Um, and Kayla, love your face. Thank you. I'm so excited. And your background looks so cute. My question for you is, what are some things you wish for folks to focus on educating themselves more?
I know I've talked about books a lot, but it is just so timely. And I think it is really interesting to sort of being in this period in American history. I actually just last night, I was in Madrid yesterday, and I stumbled, it was my only night in town. And I was in search of some film actually, but I stumbled across a bookstore. And it was the most perfect bookstore run by women, several of whom were queer. And there was so much queer literature in Spanish, and in English, one book of which was about queer power couples. I'd never seen this book before, but it was delightful and I got very excited about it. And I can also say that my excitement is absolutely coming from the United States and sort of knowing where we are in the culture. And so I think for me, I want people to read more than ever. I want folks to read fully, to read more than 250 words, to dive into the books and the text that people, yes, I need everyone to, we gotta read a little bit longer. And I promise it's worth it. I mean, there's nothing like being absorbed in a book and a text. And I will say specifically for bookstores, last night, this place specialized in really unique art, and the woman ended up giving me a book about a transgender woman that is from one of the most famous Spanish directors, and about her journey in Spain. And so, there are just so many stories out there about, like, about lesbians, about gay men, about just so many different elements of queer culture and queer identity. And I think if we open our minds to getting past scrolling, to getting beyond, what we're constantly being bombarded with, and really dig into both reporting, but also the storytelling that so many queer folks have left and have done. And then that's the thing about, as we know about queer folk, we're colorful, we're lively, we're vibrant. These are stories. It's interesting. I promise you, this work is interesting. And it matters. And I think that is really what I want people to do more of. And I will say, just as someone who's moving around constantly, kind of taking a lot of responsibilities on, like all of us on this call, it's something that keeps me going.
What book are you reading right now, just out of curiosity? Or books? 'Cause I feel like you're one of those people that like reads a chapter and moves on to another book in rotation.
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. It's so I'm reading Salvador Dali's novel actually very randomly. It is the only novel he did, or it's the only novel that I know of. It's Hidden Faces. But I read it because I was preparing for Spain. And so I've been into that as of late. And then other than that, actually research right now. So kind of boring. But that is a book that I'm reading and speaks to also me kind of trying to separate from the current world and going back in time.
I would invite you to my book club, but now I'm afraid to.
I would be, I need a book club. So please do send the invite.
Oh, I'll definitely do that. Thank you all for your information and your stories and your vibrance. This has been one of my favorite conversations I've had so far this year. The end of the year is coming, and it honestly couldn't come any faster, in my opinion. Like November 1st is what, this weekend, and I'm thrilled for the end of 2025 to close up this chapter. But I'm grateful that we were able to start closing the chapter with y'all. Um, I just wanted to let y'all, everyone know just on the chat that Queer Food Foundation, we are solo operated, we are volunteer run. We're a very small group of people that are trying to pursue a mission of continuing these conversations, bringing voices to light, as educating, sponsoring, feeding, and focusing on folks in queer food space as much as possible. We collaborate with many other nonprofits, and a special thank you to James Beard, who's been one of our top collaborators since our inception. We'll be going into our fifth Queer All Year collaborative series starting in 2026. So it's kind of crazy that we've been able to do this so long, but we're telling as many stories and bringing in as many people together as possible. So a few other resources, please check out our website. Our 2020, what year is it? 2025 gift guide will be coming out soon. Last year, we featured over 110 queer food brands that were brand new. So we're hoping to bring just as many to you this year. And we'll also be sending out a new safe space safety toolkit in partnership with Chad. And it'll be all about how to equitably, responsibly, and safely host events in your community, whether it be ADA, protecting yourself from ICE, protecting sex workers, protecting immigrants, all of those things in a fun 45-page how-to, so we can hold each other responsible, hold each other accountable, and keep each other safe at the same time. So these are just some resources that we're offering. QFF, we pride ourselves on being as free as possible. So obviously donations are always gratefully appreciated. But I wanted to thank all the panelists as well for just your time, for being here, for being queer, keeping it honest and real with the people. And I also know that JBF has some really fun announcements too. So I'm going to get that to Anna in just a sec.
Yes, thank you so much, Vanessa. Just echoing, thank you so much, Queer Food Foundation, for this wonderful and ongoing partnership we have able to bring panels like this to. And yeah, so I just want to run through a few JBF resources. So right now we have we are working on the research for our 2026 State of the Independent Restaurant Industry Report. So our informed report will be open until November 11th at 11:59 p.m. PT. And we are also hosting, we have been hosting, and we have a few more informed the report. So for folks all across the industry, no matter your job type, if you're an owner operator, you're at a cafe, a brewery, to be able to engage with all and most accurately represent the independent restaurant industry. And so I'll go a virtual and New York coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so you can scan this QR code to that pull up our industry survey. That takes about 20 minutes. But this research is super important. We want to be able to, this informs our programs, and this is also for lawmakers and frozen.
I can hear you, Anna.
Okay. Am I still frozen? I'm trying to turn off my video. And we had also the accounting resource. This is an additional resource that helps chefs, owners, operators, even managers. We've produced with the Ross Business School at the University of Michigan a costing tool that helps you use indirect and direct costs to price your menu most accurately. So that's also on our website under resources. And then lastly, this is just a slide with more links to get engaged with us, resource materials. That's our research, our virtual education library, which is where you'll be able to find this webinar very shortly, and our other QFF webinars under a playlist, and engage with our climate solutions for restaurant survival campaign as well. So thank you so much, and hope to see some folks at our roundtables.
Thank you so much, Anna. And yes, thank you for participating. You can find all of us, dreamsbeard.org, Beard Foundation. You can find us at queerfoodfoundation.org and at Queer Food Foundation. We try to stay as active on social media as possible and keep our things as updated. But also, if you are an industry professional and you have not done so, please go on our website and sign up for our queer food directory. Put yourselves on the map where you feel safe. Let folks find you. Build your bridges and community together. And you might actually get an email from me because I like to bother people like I do this week and have people tap in and share their stories as well. But any one of our participants want to give them a little shout outs or any place people can find you?
Vanessa, you already mentioned it. I'm usually on Instagram, and of course, at Eater, publishing the work of really outstanding writers from across the country.
Same. You can find me on Instagram and like at the Lafayette Hotel all the time. Like anytime you guys want to come to eat or whatever, to stay there, like just let me know. Send me a DM on my Instagram and I'll answer.
I'm coming to see you, Jose. I'm gonna be in San
Yeah,
Diego.
thank you.
Well,
That's
I'm
how I
always
get
here at Tatiana's. Everybody wants to come, just get in contact with me. It was really nice to see you all today and be a part of this, truly.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find you the next country. Like you just give me your country schedule. We'll try to link up eventually.
Next country goes crazy.
Oh, thank you so much for joining, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.